Hello, and welcome back to How to Tank in MMOs. This is Arielelian, and today I wanted to share a few tips and tricks on how to tank Garuda hard mode. If you're not familiar with Garuda HM, the Garuda HM fight at all, I'd recommend that you read up on some of her mechanics before watching this video. It'll make a lot more sense then. I've fought Garuda HM more times than I'd care to admit and had wiped just as many times. So in this video I'm going to talk about a few areas where I've seen groups get tripped up and provide a few tips to help you guys get past those. So to start out with the setup, before the fight starts, I mark the area with A and B. The A marker is about 30 degrees to the left of the rock where Garuda is currently standing. This is where the main tank is going to tank Garuda at the start of Phase 2. The B marker is directly on the spawning point and marks the halfway point of Phase 2. This is the part where Garuda lays down an AOE on the outside edges and all players have to move in to the middle. For Phase 1, we're going to tank Garuda where she's currently standing, similar to the Quest Garuda fight. This is the easiest part of the fight, and it's basically dodging her powerful attack, Mistral Song, by standing behind the rock pillars. A common mistake that I see both off-tanks and DPS do is that they stand behind the pillars for too long. Not only do they get hit by Garuda's range AoE attacks because they're grouped up, but the rock pillars also get damaged as well. The only tip I have for Phase 1 is to get away from the rocks as soon as possible once Garuda's Mistral Song attack has been cast. Phase 2 begins after she does her Reckoning and destroys all of the rocks. On a side note, you don't have to be behind a rock when she does Reckoning, so the MT can just move to marker A at this point and everybody else can move into position. The start of Phase 2 is a simple enough fight, as it's similar to Phase 1, except now there's a bunch of AoE on the ground that you have to not step into. The part that groups I've been in have had the hardest time transitioning into is when Garuda summons her clones. This is where most groups tend to wipe, or if they don't wipe, they barely get through it. This is a screenshot of the pivotal moment when the MT and OT need to coordinate the best. Garuda has summoned her clones, Charada and Saparna, and they're coming in from 3 different directions. What the OT is supposed to do is to get aggro on the clone that has the red link and tank it away from the MT and the rest of the group. DPS is supposed to burn down the green linked clone and the MT tanks Garuda at position A. What most players don't realize is that when Garuda gets to her position as shown in this screenshot, she does a slipstream attack, which is a conal attack that does high damage and stuns for 3 seconds. This is usually where the OT and melee DPS get stunned and killed, because they tend to be grouped up right there. Consequently, obviously, that leaves the clones to have their way with the rest of the party. My recommendation is to have the OT positioned at the place marked as X on this screenshot to avoid Garuda's slipstream attack and catch the red link clone when she goes straight for the healers. The off-tank should tank the clone with her back toward the group so that they don't get caught in her conal attacks. I also recommend that the MT initially taunt and hold the green-linked clone while the OT tanks the red-linked clone away from the rest of the group. If the MT loses aggro on the green-linked clone, it's not a big deal, as it tends to go down pretty quickly so long as your team has the right amount of DPS. It's very important that your DPS burn down the clones quickly. If they take too long, the clones that are alive will jump to the center and do a massive AoE attack that will do high damage to the entire party. Once you get past this part of the fight with the clones, all of the vortexes in the room will disappear and you'll get a message that says countless feathers rain from the sky. This is your cue to start moving Garuda clockwise around the room. My recommendation is to keep Garuda closer to the inner circle rather than kiting her along the outside edge. I'll let you all watch this part of the fight until we get to marker B. Once you get to marker B, that lets you know that you need to pull her into the middle of the room to avoid her outside AoE. When her clones spawn, the MT should again pick up the green linked clone, and the OT should pick up the red linked clone. If you have LB3, at this point I recommend that your Black Mage or Summoner use it to burn down the clones as quickly as possible. This will give your team a moment of all-out DPS on Garuda, as there's nothing that your team needs to dodge in this part of the fight. As you'll notice in our fight, I pick up the green linked clone here, and our Black Mage then uses LB3 to wipe out all the clones. It made the fight a lot easier instead of trying to DPS them down individually. When the outside AoE disappears, the MT should move Garuda to marker B. If you have the right amount of DPS, you should be able to burn her down before you have to move her again. In the event that you do have to move her, start on marker B and work your way back to marker A clockwise. Once you get back to marker A, you just repeat phase 2 all over again. With that said, I do want to comment that if you do end up at marker A again, you very likely may not have enough DPS to kill Garuda. Usually at this point your healers are pretty strained, and you may be hard pressed to kill Garuda before your healers run out of mana. So hopefully this was helpful to you. If you have any other questions about the Garuda fight, feel free to ask them in the comments below. Thanks for watching How to Tank in MMOs, and we'll see you next time. Take care.